So what all teaching experience do I have since I'm just John D. Jones, the brand new, just out of school student looking for a job? Well, you've still probably got some experience with teaching as a student teacher. You might even have some as a substitute. So let's go ahead and get that in there. Teaching, gonna come back, kick up the first letter, underlines, Command U. I'm going to take a shortcut there. And I'm also going to be smart enough to remember to turn it off this time before I tabbed over to my column, and we're going to go ahead and say that John has done both of those things. He's been a substitute and he's been a student teacher. So here we go with the substitute. Substitute teacher, and we'll say that he did that for grades kindergarten through 5. Kindergarten. Bear with me, can't spell. Kindergarten to 5th grade. And you want to tell where that happened at. For John, that happened in the Yorksville School District. And that's in Yorksville, New York. Not really. I hope there's not at Yorksville. If there is, I apologize to all of the residents. We'll say this happened from 2011 to the present. And you're also going to want to tell some things that happened in that district while he was working there. So you want to give some specifics here. Let me show you something that people tend to do, especially new teachers, that's just atrocious. Oh, there's my crazy bullet again. Bill Gates having his fun. I'm going to go with that decrease trick again. And once again, it's going to take me several tries. Remember that there's also the bullet and numbering if you just want to be more specific. I'm feeling lazy, so I'm just going to go ahead and keep on with the right-click technique. So what did we do here? Some people, like I said, make the mistake of putting something along the lines of this. I supervised students. Did you? Really now? Well, that's amazing. Come on, everybody supervises students. Does that make you stand out from this crowd of applicants for this job? Not at all. So what did you do in your substituting time that was a little more unique or something that can stand out? Well, let's say you had, for instance, some long-term gigs while you were there. They trusted you enough that they gave you one of them. They obviously had to like you somewhat to do that. And you got some experience working with kids on a consistent basis. So we'll say that you were a kindergarten long-term sub at one of the schools, Washington. And we'll also say that you were a 5th grade long-term substitute at Jefferson Elementary School. So there you go, definitely better than supervises students. Now we also said that we wanted to make our friend here have some student teaching experience. Going to tab on over, student, teacher, what grade? How about 4th grade? And where did he do it at? That was at Adams Elementary. Feeling awfully presidential today. And that happened in Yorkington. Watch, there will be a real Yorkington and Yorksville when I look it up later. Yorkington School District in Yorkington, New York. And that happened from 2010 to 11. And we crept onto the second line there. So how can we change that formatting wise? So let's go ahead and get into some formatting items right now and see what we can fix up. So here we are with our dates that have trickled down onto the second line. We don't want that because look at everything else. It just took up one line, one line, one line. The inconsistency does not look sharp at all. So how can we get rid of it? Well, we can see if there's any relevant information that can be deleted here, but I'm not seeing any. We could look at expanding our margins wider, but we already did that. I don't want to creep out to the edge of the page. How about we try the font this time? We're still sitting at 12. We talked about how 11 and 12 both work fine. You don't really want to go smaller or bigger, and that did the trick. Of course, speaking to consistency once again, if we're going to make that portion 11, then we want to make these other sections 11-point font as well. So we're going to go through and we're going to update them. There we go. Following that same consistency all the way throughout. And we're going to come down now and we're going to talk about some things that we did while we were a student teacher in 4th grade at Adams Elementary. Going to insert a bullet. Yeah, it comes out to the middle again. Rather than trying that trick with decreasing the indent once again, I bet if we just come full left aligned over here and press our indent rather than trying it from here, we end up in the right spot. There we go. Those bullets are a constant battle. Just keep playing with it and don't get frustrated. You'll get there. Okay, so what are some things that we did as a student teacher in the 4th grade? We talked about last time how we don't want to put something ridiculous like supervise students. Everybody supervises students. Give them something that they can really see that makes you stand out from the crowd. Let's try something like some specific information about the school that might make it a little bit different. It was a Title I school with 95% free and reduced lunch. This shows that you've had some experience working with students from poverty and a different socioeconomic status than maybe the norm. Also, maybe your school has some diverse language background. So let's say 70% of the student body is composed of English language learners. And what about giving them some kind of specific program? Or maybe you had an opportunity to teach some of the teachers in your building something that you'd learned in a college course while you were there. So let's say Mr. Jones trained staff in Kagan strategies at, I don't know, an in-service opportunity possibly. There we go. So he's had some experience teaching others. He doesn't mind getting involved. He has some knowledge in cooperative learning like Kagan. There's a lot to be said in just that one simple bullet. Okay, as I look up, I'd still like to go ahead and make things pop a little bit more, if you will. So what I want to do is try and bold a couple of these items. For example, where we went to college at, and what about John's actual job titles at each of these locations. There we go. This gives it a little bit more emphasis. So we've done our certifications, our education, our teaching. What else do we want to talk about? Well, we're going to go ahead and say that Mr. Jones has some other work experience. So we'll do this heading as work history, all capitals, 12-point font, and a, oh, I'm sorry, look, that's 11-point font because that's what we've been typing in. Don't let something like that catch you. If these are 12, then this should be 12. And the first letters, 14. There we go. Okay, now we're ready to tab over, and I'm dropping back down to 11 point. And in the other work history sections, we're going to go ahead and say that Mr. Jones was a camp counselor. Now, just as our other job titles were bold print, we're going to go ahead and make this bold print. And speaking of the consistency, what do we need here? An underline. So where were we a camp counselor at? Let's go ahead and turn our bold off, tab over, and let's say this was Lincoln Summer Camp, sticking with our presidential theme, and that happened at Vero Beach, Florida. 2005, 2009. Good little vacation spot down there. And I'm going to tab back over, but you know what? I probably shouldn't have done that because there's my crazy bullet. Stick with that left align bullet from there. I'm learning my lesson. And what did I do while I was there at Lincoln Summer Camp being that counselor? Well, I supervised children from ages, let's say 7 to 14. So not only do I have experience working in a job, but I also have experience working in a job where there were kids. It really plays into the whole looking for a teacher vantage point there. Okay, so that's my experience as a camp counselor, and I might have also, let's see, what could John have done? Let's say he was a secretary while he was in school working for some of those professors. It's a job title, bold print, space down, time to give that location, bold goes off, and this was at Big State University. That was located, once again, in Anywhere, New York. And we did this job from 2008 to 2010. And what did we do at that job? Here's our bullet point. And we're going to say that we assisted professors with various technological and office tasks. Between the website in our heading and the technology piece there, I think it goes ahead and clues in all of our prospective employers that we do have some degree of tech savvy. Alright, so we are done with our work history and we have our crucial resume pieces in place, like our teaching, our certification, and our education. We mentioned earlier the objective statement is not completely necessary, although when you are a prospective teacher fresh out of college, sometimes, quite frankly, you need something to fill your resume with. So we're going to go ahead and leave it in for now and see if we have room for it. Coming on down here, we still have some empty workspace down at the bottom of the resume as well, and we don't want to leave that blank. We want to go ahead and use it to our advantage. We are going to go ahead and leave this resume at just this one page other than some references that we will be adding. So we're going to leave 1, 2 blank spaces just as we have been doing, and we are going to go ahead and use a 12-point heading over here on the side. 2, yes, and this time we are going to go ahead and add in some honors that we are going to say that our applicant has. And we are going to kick the first letter, just like always, up to a 14-point font and use our underline. And now we will turn the underline back off for when we tab over. So this is where things are going to get interesting because I want to bullet out and leave some honors that I've received. But watch what happens if I try and leave a bullet after I've already written text in that line. It doesn't work. Microsoft Word wants our bullets to be to the left of our words, and it doesn't like it when you try and get creative and put them over the middle, but that's okay. There's always a workaround of some sort. So we're going to come on up, we're going to use format, and not format, we're going to use insert, and we are going to go to symbol. Remember, we used these bullets earlier in our heading when we were separating out some of our information. There's our bullet again, and we are going to go ahead and insert it. Now, even though it wasn't done in a conventional fashion, we do have our bullet entered in right where it is supposed to be. Now, we're not going to be able to tab over to make this align with the A and the S right here, but we are going to kick down to 11-point font like we've been using in this section of the resume. Now, I bet if we take about 3, 4, 5 spaces, watch this, test, yeah, we're aligned right with that A. Okay, I don't want to say test. I want to go ahead and talk about some honors or awards that we may have won. So we're going to talk about maybe some graduation type honor that we've received. And now that we're down to the next line, we can go ahead and use our regular standard bullets again, and they'll line right up with that one that we just created. And now we're going to go ahead and say something else maybe that had to do with some of our academic work. About earned departmental academic honors. Of course, if you don't have anything to include of this nature, an honors or award section is not a requirement. What else could we put here? Maybe an award we received for some outstanding work that we did while student teaching. Teacher of Promise Award. Now we're going to come down, we're going to kill off that bullet, and we're going to space down a couple sections. Notice how we had this second page pop up, no concern there. We're going to use it for some references later, and then if there's any other dead space trying to create a third page, we will just go ahead and get rid of it. So we've got our honors in. Is there anything else we can include? Well, sometimes, as I change back to this 12-point font, sometimes people have volunteer activities that they like to go ahead and report. Not always, but sometimes. It's great if you do. So if it's available, go ahead and get it down. Don't stretch too much. There's no need to make it up if you don't have it. Volunteerism, underline. Same bullet issue here. We're going to have to go ahead and get creative. I'll tab over, and we'll use insert symbol. There's our bullet, insert it, exit out, And once again, we're kicking down to 11-point font. 5 spaces should do the trick. And what are some volunteer activities that you might have done? Some people help out the needy. Some people have something that they get involved in through their church. It can be any number of things. So let's just try some out. We could say instructed 1st to 4th grade Sunday school classes. Anytime you can tie it into working with students, it of course helps out. All right, I'm going to jump down to the next line, go back to standard bullets, some other volunteer activities that we might have. How about we coordinated a summer Bible school, managed a 4-H group, or you could have something like organized a Christmas gift drive. All right, we went on to a second page. Anytime you do that and you're trying to contain it to one page, you've got to come back and say what goes. It could be this empty space up here. It could be one of the items that I don't feel is quite as relevant to what I've been trying to create here. But you have to decide. Don't be the person that decides to be the new teacher right out of school and just goes and goes and goes and winds up with a 6-page resume. It's a good way to get your resume thrown in the trash immediately. Okay, that does it for the first page of our resume. We are going to go ahead and wrap things up next time in part 3 with the reference page and some editing and just some quick tips for finalizing your resume. See you in part 3.